Hey guys, welcome back to another episode on What the Chip Happened, what I believe is the greatest semiconductor and AI YouTube channel out right now. Now, in today's episode, what I want to do is take a closer look at Nvidia because Nvidia just announced something pretty interesting that I believe is completely changing the AI market once again, and that I believe is extremely bullish for the growth opportunity of not just Nvidia, but the rest of the ecosystem as well. But before we take a closer look at that, I also want to share some recent updates impacting OpenAI. There has been a slowdown in their growth that has some investors a little bit worried, and I want to share my overall thoughts there as well. So let's take a closer look in today's episode. But before we begin, if you're serious about semiconductor and AI investing, I break down major earnings and conferences inside my community. Institutional quality research built for retail investors. Get 33% off at whatthechip.happened.com. Now, the later part of this topic, we're going to talk about Nvidia and how it's trying to secure land, power, and shell, because that's the next critical resource for AI factories. Now, luckily, if you are part of my community at What the Chip Happened, this is something we talked about this morning doing the exclusive live stream. So make sure to check it out at whatthechip.happened.com. So OpenAI this morning announced the following, that as models become more capable, the risk associated with developing and testing them internally also grow. They mentioned that they temporarily paused reinforcement learning training on our latest models intended for deployment for 2 weeks while we harden and red teamed our research environments and expand monitoring coverage. So they do have kind of a full list here of like, hey, our AI models for the past few weeks, we've seen a bit of developments in the AI industry. First, that OpenAI Hugging Face incident. Now they're seeing that preliminary evidence of their upcoming model, Astra, is showing that this model is insane for cybersecurity capabilities. And that's not something that they could theoretically release if they don't feel comfortable, and obviously could create a lot of issues with things like national defense. So they have to play this safely. They kind of talk a little bit of how they're trying to slow down and what they're going to be working on in the next few weeks to try to improve their security and try to make sure that they're able to contain this model. So a lot of it's interesting. As we're going to see, the company did see a bit of a slowdown in growth, in revenue. So some skeptics might be saying this is just OpenAI trying to fight that negative sentiment coming from some of that negative news on the growth numbers that we're about to discuss, and try to give investors a little bit calmness in their mind. If I was an investor of OpenAI and then I heard this, it's like, okay, now I have the ability to not be so fearful of my investors. So there are some skeptics that are saying this is more of a PR stunt to be able to showcase to investors that they shouldn't be worried about their investment. I don't know necessarily how much I believe that, but what I would say is in this AI market, it changes very often who is the leader. The past few months, the past few quarters, I believe Anthropic has been the leader in the AI industry. Most recently, I personally, just from personal experience, have started using Codex a lot more and OpenAI models a lot more than Anthropic. So it's not impossible to believe that while Anthropic might have won the first half of this year, it's not impossible for OpenAI to do better in the second half of the year. Now, the other thing that I found pretty interesting here is they were kind of mentioning that when you are trying to safeguard compute and these models, you also need a nice amount of compute to be able to do that safeguard, for that monitoring overhead. And to me, this is actually kind of like a case of, hey, if AI needs to get stronger and better, you also need to have AI rails and AI monitoring and AI overhead be stronger as well. So it's interesting to think that that alone can also create a bottleneck of compute, because if you are using, and here's 20%, but it's not 20% of their whole compute, it's 20% of the inference compute being monitored. It still indicates that, hey, there has to be some form of compute usage for this. And again, that reduces the total compute overall. So I thought that was interesting and would love to hear some of your thoughts there about that. Now, when we look at the real numbers, so Wall Street Journal reported that Wall Street, not a Wall Street Journal. I don't know why I always think of World Star. World Star. Wall Street Journal reported that OpenAI told investors its revenue grew by 18% from the first quarter to the second quarter, while its losses deepened, results that disappointed some shareholders who hoped the startup will show more catching up to rival Anthropic. The company said its revenue grew to 6.7 billion in the 3 months that ended in June, up from 5.7 billion in the first quarter. Now, they mentioned margins sank further, and maybe this is also one of the main reasons OpenAI has been pushing their IPO a little bit longer than expected. Obviously, they had the legal issues, but now that kind of that is a little bit over, I think they're going to want to show that they're winning before they go IPO so they can get as much money as possible. Now, while OpenAI did about 7 billion, Anthropic more than doubled its revenue to 11.6 billion in the same period, marking the first time its sales surpassed its older rival. The company also supposedly swung small operating profits. Now, this is why I'm excited to hear more about the S1s from these companies and going public, because we will be able to really see the numbers, right? These are all reports based on people familiar with the matter, so on and so forth. So one of the main reasons of success for Anthropic is Anthropic did really good with Cloud Code, right? I think that's kind of one of the main AI coding solution that really grabbed attention. Now, OpenAI is definitely doing a lot better, but this fear, right? This fear of OpenAI slowing down, I'm going to believe is going to create fear for the semiconductor industry. Because the first thing that a bear can say, see, OpenAI is not going to have the money to pay all the funds and all these RPOs that it's making with all these cloud service providers. This was supposed to be a company that's supposed to be growing massively, even on a sequential basis. What is going on? It is right to make that point because it is true. OpenAI is supposed to be growing at crazy levels. Now, to me, one thing that I have always stated in this channel, and I still believe to be true, is I don't care what AI model wins. The demand for intelligence will always be there, no matter who it is. If OpenAI fails, Anthropic is going to win, right? Let's say you need 100 intelligence. Let's just put a number in intelligence, 100. I don't care if it's 50-50. I don't care if 60-40. I don't care if it's 99-1, because one of those players is going to need all the compute. The great thing with a lot of this AI solutions is a lot of these AI chips, especially from the market leader like Nvidia, if OpenAI fails, Nvidia and those chips can easily go to Anthropic, right? And we're going to see kind of with what Nvidia is doing in a bit to really showcase this, right? It doesn't really matter because intelligence will be needed. And it doesn't matter who serves it. It's just whoever has the most amount of intelligence. And whoever has the most intelligent product will be able to have the demand of all that compute out there. But again, we'd love to see more of the S1 and we'd love to see more updates. I'm pretty sure OpenAI is going to read this Wall Street Journal piece and is going to kind of share some of their overall thoughts about it. I know sometimes Anthropic and OpenAI are set for revenue to be recognized differently. So maybe OpenAI can share us, oh, look, if we actually recognize this revenue similar to Anthropic, this would be our revenue run rate. But would love to hear from the team in the upcoming months. Now, again, right now, it is an interesting pace. I do believe it's going to create negative sentiments toward the overall market. But at the same time, I don't believe it matters who wins in this AI space. It could actually even be Grok or Meta, Mark Zuckerberg with Meta. One of those is going to win, and whoever wins is going to need all the compute because intelligence demand is going to continue to grow. Now, the next part that I want to focus on is this, right? Nvidia on August 17th, so yesterday, announced that it's securing the infrastructure of intelligence, land, power, and shell, the next critical resource for AI factories. And again, if you have been following this channel, this should not be new news to you, right? Nvidia is one of those players that tries to reduce the hurdles of anything that is in the way of AI developments. One of the first hurdles was what? Actual AI labs. So NVIDIA makes sure to help AI labs continue to grow, continue to innovate, because then you're able to create a product. All right, so what's after creating a product? NVIDIA decided to help out creating AI infrastructure dramatically and increase the supply chain. It did this through various ways. It did this through building up neoclouds. It did this through showing how to design servers with its MGX platform. It did this by showing how to run AI cloud with its DGX cloud. It showed how to design data centers, which is what it's doing right now. And then we saw just a few weeks ago, it's trying to show the market how to properly finance the space. So NVIDIA is trying to hit all these hurdles from either supply chain or just overall AI development. Now, one of the other issues that they see in the supply chain is the land, power, and shell. If you are an AI company, and you're trying to sell gigawatts of AI chips, it's very hard for your customer to say, hey, let me find, it's not hard. They can do it. A selected amount of you can do it, but not everybody has the ability to do it or has the full teamwork to do it. It's like, hey, I want to buy a gigawatt of chips. Great. But if you're going to buy a gigawatt of chips, you need to be able to have land, power, and shell to do it. And NVIDIA wants to make sure that you don't just buy a gigawatt of chips and you don't know what to do with them and you have a lot of chips just turned off and create this fear of kind of an AI bubble. So NVIDIA is doing now where they're reducing the supply chain risk. Hey, we're going to rent out, we're going to lease out some of these land, powers, and shells, because then when you come in and order 1 gigawatt of compute, I can tell you, look, you don't have to wait for them to turn on. This is what I have. I have this whole supply chain ready for you, from chip building, from massive server racks, from building the data center, to now we also are available to help you with the land, power, and the shell. So I think this is a massive, massive win for NVIDIA, and NVIDIA can do this because it has that massive market share. Now, what I thought was pretty interesting is NVIDIA announced a massive deal with OpenAI. In the AI economy, compute is revenue. And they mentioned AI factories require a full stack of critical resources, advanced chips, packaging, memory, and networking. And NVIDIA in the past few years has been making sure that this supply chain portion is done extremely well. Right? It's done investments in optics. It's made great partners and great investments in kind of the manufacturing for both its chips, for also the servers and so much more, right? They've been working with Foxconn. They've been working with TSMC. They've been working with Amkor one way or another, and the list goes on and on. So for the whole semiconductor manufacturing, they have helped out, but they say we are no longer a chip company. We are an AI factory company. And for us to continue to work our way down to the AI factory supply chain, we need to also make sure that we have the land, power, and shell, or some way to improve the supply chain there. So NVIDIA, with its long-term visibility and supply chain partnerships, has now worked to secure critical resources and is now applying that same discipline to that LPS. And the main reason is this also allows them to kind of, I would say, not hoard up, but if NVIDIA has that LPS, then that compute that's going to be hosted in that LPS is going to be NVIDIA's. One of them is going to be this Ports Pike Technology Campus in Ohio, and OpenAI will be the tenant. Now, interesting, OpenAI will be the tenant, even though OpenAI is going to be game over. There has to be a little bit more to that growth story. Is there some form of compute issue? Was the model just really that weaker? And if we are seeing improvements in July and August with the new models from OpenAI, what is the growth rate looking like right now? And NVIDIA says that, look, a good portion of our big players, our large cloud service providers, they have investment-grade enterprises and have balance sheets for a long time. So they can secure LPS independently. But there are other companies that are just starting off or that are not as nearly as strong as the cloud service providers. Or, for example, Frontier AI Labs. These are the OpenAIs. They don't have that type of balance sheet like all the other players, but they have the huge revenue growth, except OpenAI, right? Anthropic has that huge revenue growth right now. But because of that, they are not able to do this LPS grab. NVIDIA, in my opinion, is trying to do a few things. First, it wants to continue to build up this ecosystem extremely well because more demand, more AI chips. The other thing is it doesn't want there to be limited amount of players. If there is limited amount of players, NVIDIA gets squeezed in potentially margins and competition and whatnot. So NVIDIA wants there to be a competitive landscape. Also, a competitive landscape in the AI industry focuses innovation, and innovation drives new product development, and new product development drives new customer and new demand for solutions, which continue to create that cycle of AI compute needs. So they mentioned the initial deployment is expected to be 4.2 gigawatts of AI factories. That's a lot. They mentioned it's roughly about 150 to 200 billion in NVIDIA revenue per generation. And over the 20 years, the site can support upgrade cycles. So NVIDIA is focusing on these big AI facilities where they can re-upgrade to newer generations every few years, maybe every 5 years, and that would be an extra $200 billion per segment. They also have the ability to increase this capacity by 3.7 to roughly 8 gigawatts. So OpenAI is taking this and has committed to this. Again, this is interesting because OpenAI has had a lot of fear today. And I don't think NVIDIA is going to make a partnership with OpenAI, especially something this big, if OpenAI is really as scared or as bad as kind of these press releases are making it seem. The other thing that NVIDIA has mentioned is NVIDIA is selectively securing exceptional sites. So this is pretty good. I think they're only going to be focusing on big sites. The other thing is the productive life of the site extends through multiple generations, each capable of producing more intelligence and more revenue than the generation before. So just showcasing that NVIDIA believes this is going to be a multi-revenue, not just for its customers, but for itself as well. The final thing, the NVIDIA's compute is what happens to ports if OpenAI does not use the site in the future. For example, if OpenAI fails, right? That's this question right here. And I think this question explains it all. NVIDIA's compute is versatile, fungible, and broadly adopted. The capacity can be resold to another qualified tenant across NVIDIA's global ecosystem of cloud service providers, enterprises, AI labs, and startups. So to me, this is NVIDIA's way of kind of saying what I was talking about earlier today, where while we don't know who the AI leader is going to be. The thing that we know is intelligence is going to be needed. So whoever is the winner in the smartest model will need that compute. If OpenAI fails here, that's okay, because that compute can just be sold to the actual winner. Obviously, the market, if there is that fear of OpenAI failing and other stuff, I do believe it will create a lot of volatility in the market, but I think the long-term goal is still pretty much the same, and the long-term thesis will still play out as I see it. I'm not a guaranteed here, but that's my overall thoughts. Similar with all these crazy backlogs, right? The market is going crazy with the amount of backlogs in cloud service providers and OpenAI doing all this. But like I previously stated, even if OpenAI fails, I think that backlog will be used by the other player instead, or players, right? It doesn't mean that there's only going to be one winner, but this is one of the things that I do believe the market is going to get wrong. And if there ever is a fear of one of the AI labs failing, they are going to sell off everything when that's not necessarily what's actually happening. It could be happening, but it's not a guaranteed. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Like always, if you want to hear my thoughts, I share them at whatthechipHappened.com, my overall community. We've posted so many earnings report already. It's insane. We have a power terminal for the AI market, and the list goes on and on. So make sure to check it out at whatthechipHappened.com. Take care. Have a good day, and see you all next time.